Hello and welcome to Talking About Cross Stitch with me. I'm Karen and I'm the Stitching Owl. I come to you from London, Ontario on July the 13th of 2025. Yes, indeed, we are almost halfway through this month. It's going to be a fast summer, and I'm sure that some of my American friends who will be going back to school sometime in August are feeling this going even faster than I am. I'd like to thank all of you for doing the YouTube things of subscribing and liking and leaving comments. It does mean so much to me. I seem to be getting nice comments when they send me my monthly thing from YouTube. And you are the reason why. So thank you so much. I know that I am getting a bit closer to 1,500 subscribers, and I want to just say welcome to everybody who's new. Thank you to those of you who are new who are saying you're going back and starting from the beginning. That's quite the commitment. And I think you'll find that I have developed over the past, well, it's almost 2 years. The next time we are together, it will be just days away from my actual Flossiversary, so we will call the next one, which will also be video 50, my Flossiversary video. So we'll see what special things I have up my sleeve for that day. My husband and I spent a good chunk of the time since we were last together away. We have friends with property right at the moment at Sabo Beach, which is 2.5 or so hours north of where we are right now. And so they let us have one of their properties that when they were making a trip to Nashville, it worked out well. And it was a very, very lovely time. My birthday was during that week away, and for the second year in a row, my husband popped me into Mogi's, which is a quilt store in Owen Sound, so that I could enjoy shopping in a crafty way. We looked for a needlework shop, but it was in Collingwood, which was a little bit too far for that day, and the next day we had hideous weather. So I didn't get to that, but I'm hoping someday that I'll be able to do that. Now, Sabo Beach is actually on Indigenous land, and as such, it is a wonderful area to be in, and they had something very special occur this summer. I will at some point pop a picture up showing the sign for Sabo Beach, which is right there at the end of the main strip. On June 30th, late June 30th, and into the wee hours of July 1st, the Saugeen residents, which is the Indigenous people of that area, tweaked the Sabo Beach sign to say Saugeen sign. There really wasn't that many letters to change, so that as the sun rose on Canada Day, it had that name instead of Sabo on it, and many of us feel that it is completely appropriate to honor the people whose land we are on when we visit Sabo Beach. And indeed, there's been some legalities, but the Saugeen indeed were triumphant. It is their land. So we were happy to help them celebrate that in the first summer that they had their sign up. The past 2 weeks, we were getting ready to go away, and then we're away. So it ended up being a receive a smile instead of a send a smile time. So I received a lovely thank you note from Andrew. I had sent him an Advent banner series of patterns that he can have fun with in December. And he was kind enough to send me a thank you. And not only was it a lovely thank you note with a heartfelt message, thank you, he included a needle minder. And I'm just going to hold it up there. Look at that. It's almost a perfect match for the stained glass owl that I spent 2024 stitching. So this is my first owl needle minder, and it is so special, A, because it's who I am, and B, because it came from Andrew and arrived just shortly before my birthday. I couldn't, everything just sort of landed together on that one, Andrew, and you couldn't have known, because I don't tend to broadcast a lot about my birthday. But friend Connie was aware from past comments, and she sent me a lovely hummingbird card, and I know Sarah of Sarah's Stitchy Spot is going to look at that and go, oh my, that's a beautiful card. And indeed, I took it to show my mother, and she said, oh, is there any way you can make that into a cross-stitch picture? And I'm like, I don't know if I've got the talent, but I'm willing to try. But not only did Connie send me this beautiful card, again with a beautiful message in it, she sent me, I should probably take it out of the plastic. My apologies for those sounds. She had stitched something for me even though she was in recovery. Oh my goodness. You really wrapped this up, Connie. And look what she stitched me. Now this is a pattern by the Stitching Mommy. So, and it says, friendship is born at that moment when one person says to another, what, you two? I thought I was the only one. And I think that there are times when we are stitching, and whatever community we live in, stitching is mostly a solitary event. And so when we find another person or another group, this is exactly what we are saying. So thank you so much, Connie. That was so kind of you. And indeed, it did get here by my birthday. So I do have plans for the Send a Smile that will continue on through the summer. I have to admit that when I look at myself, this is an asymmetrical dress, and I always wonder whether I look like I just don't have my outfit on properly, but it is what that color is. So let's talk about the weather. So as you know, I'm doing the specialty stitching temperature chart by Stitching Mommy, and that I am taking the temperature that I'm stitching at 12 noon each day. And I take it where I am at that point. So that means that while we were at Sobel, that was the temperature I was checking. And indeed, for two reasons, the temperature was a little bit cooler, not cool, but we were certainly by the water, and we were more north. So thus, even though London was experiencing quite the intense heat wave and humidity issue, we didn't have quite as severe humidity problem, and the temperatures had dropped by 2 or 3 degrees. So what I've done since the last time we were together is I finished off May because we hadn't even had the last day of May yet. And then I started these are Rhodes butterflies. Now, here I've got this caught up to, I think, Friday, maybe Saturday. I would have to count my butterflies. But you can definitely see that this guy in the middle was the coolest day where we were at like 18 degrees in Sobel Beach in the middle of the day. And that by the time we came back, we were back into the red and intensity again. This particular stitch is not difficult once you just plan out your path. My challenge for a lot of these stitches is figuring out where to actually place them in the box. And I know you're going, well, it's not that hard to count. And I'm like, yes, that's true. But counting can be hard, as I'm sure some of you have discovered. And especially when the path in the instructions shows us how to do the butterfly, but it doesn't start from a spot that you would count from the top. If it starts from somewhere in the bottom, it's really much trickier. So I actually had to find my own path for how to do this butterfly, and then figure out how to make 3 holes of my even weave work between it. Now I am doing this with sulky thread with my own rendition of temperatures. I have a lot of sulky colors, so I've got 1 color per temperature until I get to like 31, and then it's just, if I go above 31, it's all going to be just hot, hot, hot. And below like minus 27 or so, it'll be cold, cold, cold. I'm in Celsius. And if I just hold it up closer so you can see, those really are butterflies. It's quite pretty, isn't it? So I am enjoying this stitch. I always say that. Now, Laura has stitching prompts, and one of her prompts was stitch on a project suggested by a friend. So when we got back from Sobel, less than 24 hours, I was texting Karen D to say, can you just hop on for an hour or 2 with me while my husband goes for his final scans for kidney? Good news is all of the kidney stones are now gone, and he was able to say to the doctor, I hope I never have to see you again. And yes, he really does hope that for sure. So I asked Karen, can you tell me a project that you would like me to stitch on tomorrow? And she did pick the temperature chart, which was really good because I had not taken it with me. And so I had like actually a number of days to catch up for sure, because I hadn't even done the last couple of days before we left on vacation. So I was learning how to do that butterfly stitch. Okay, is there anything else? No, I think that's it. Now, at this point, I normally talk to you about my WIPGO, but there is no new news to share. I actually have not touched either projects that I'm hoping to do for the designers for this month, in part because Mary and I are just having one of those periods of time where things seem to be going missing. Now, the good news is, as I was collecting everything for today's video, I found all the floss for my Doreen Jones butterfly. There has been a reason you did not see it, either the last time or today. I couldn't find my floss. I had put that project bag in the wrong spot. So it is found. Good news. But I'm puzzled because I had purchased like 5 Luminous Fiber Arts patterns, and they are not in the right spot. As a matter of fact, my laptop doesn't even seem to have a Luminous Fiber Arts folder, and I know I've got it somewhere. So fingers crossed that I will be able to find them soon. And I do have another purchase that I will mention later, if not, but I had hoped to overlap Christmas in July with my WIPGO. We'll see how that goes. Now, Mud Puppy Mania is continuing into Junia and July. I'm not sure those are words, but hey, in the cross-stitch world, we do our own thing with vocabulary. So my two projects right now that I'm working on for models for Kenzie of my puppy stitchery are going along well. I took one of them to the beach. As we were packing, Lisa's gonna laugh, my luggage for cross-stitching was getting heavier and heavier, as in heavier than the luggage for my clothing. And I had to make choices about not taking every one of my whips with me. And it did end up causing some issues because I got there and thought I had something and they didn't, and I had something that I didn't think I brought. It was a crazy time. But I did take Gold Among the Flowers, which is Goldfinches. And look at that. I have the two birds done. Now I can hear Kim saying, oh, Karen, you did all the fun stuff first, and now all you got left is leaves and flowers. And actually, I'm okay with that. I really wanted to get the birds in for today. I am stitching with one strand of DMC on 40 Count Verdal by Roxy Flossco. Now, the called for colors do have two yellows in these Goldfinches that when you're doing one strand, wow, I couldn't see a difference, and when I sent a picture to Kenzie, she couldn't either. And now in real life, you can see that there's a yellow in there that is tinged differently. So the number of DMC was 17 and I changed it to 18 just to darken it up a bit. And I'm hoping that when Kenzie gets this in person that she'll be happy with that choice. Now, let's see what I've got here. I have completed 2,898 stitches of 4,671, which means I'm at 62%. This pattern has 10 colors of floss, and its final stitch count is 91 by 121, which is not that big. Now, in Laura's prompt, I said that this one is an ice cream flavor, because this background is somewhat of a minty color, so I'm saying it's mint chocolate chip, and that the color of the stems to the flowers are the deep brown of the chocolate chips. So I worked in a prompt here. Was there a second prompt? Nope, that's it for this one. So now I am doing another one of Kenzie's patterns, and it's called Strawberries and Swallowtails. And while I didn't take it with me, there was still enough progress that I feel comfortable showing you. Just going to flip over the board that I just had and fix this. Here we are. So you can see that I have been happily stitching a lot of white, and I'm not saying that sarcastically. I am having fun stitching white. It's only one strand and it's on my favorite of 36, so it's working very well. It is B5200. This is a 36 count even weave and is called Moderna. It is hand dyed by Rolanda. And you can see that I'm just starting to get some of the feathers. There's going to be a wing here and a wing here. I do know that I need to get back to this border because we don't want to leave all of the border stuff till the end. But there are times that I find for me, I can tell if my border's off by seeing where it lies against the actual pattern. So I think I'll come down here and do some of the figures down here. We've got more bees and I think a frog. And then I'll feel comfortable putting in my strawberry border. Was there anything else in here? I have completed 4,000 stitches, and that makes this 36% finished. And for Laura's prompt, the letter S, because this is strawberries and swallowtail. Well, kites, but still there's 2 S's in the title. So I'm very pleased with how well I'm doing with that. Will I get either of those done in the next 2 weeks? Probably not, but that's okay too. So as we go into talking about FOs and FFOs, I like to bring to your attention that Stitching with Charlie has an encouraging hashtag of just finish June, July. She took out the it purposefully. Just encouraging us to see if we can find things that we can either finish the stitching or go into our under the bed box and fully finish. So many of us are trying to do things and hope that she's counting as she watches our videos. So, fully finished objects. I had to stop and go, what did I do? So I did not take any of my supplies for fully finishing to our beach retreat. So not as much was done, but I did finish one more Prairie Santa for friend Mary. We've got many Marys and Karens here. And I'll show you a picture of it. What's happening, she's given me, I believe, 5 Santas, so I've got like 2 more to do. And I'm finishing them in a similar style with similar finishing colors so that there's cohesiveness when she pops them on the tree or however she wants to decorate with them. I don't have the patterns to be able to isolate which Prairie Santas they are, but I do believe they're the ones that you get year by year. My other fully finished item was actually a stitch by my daughter. It's called Cute Pandas. It's an owl forest embroidery pattern, and yes, Kim, I used another frame. So I think that my daughter did a marvelous job here. Now, with this, when people are saying, I don't know how you get the frames, these are photo frames, or in this case, this was a diploma frame. And I took out the diploma, and I also took out the glass, because the only way I have enough space for something with any thickness is to not have the glass there so that I can lace this. Now, my husband still has to put the little picks into the back so that, because this right now is completely movable. So I guess it's 99% FFO'd. He'll do that for me later today so that we can give it to my daughter tomorrow. I believe she was stitching on a 16 count Aida. And this pattern is on the Owl Forest Embroidery website. One of the things when I was looking up what the exact title of this was is that I noticed that Owl Forest has a sale on right now. You needed to know that, didn't you? So I don't know if it's on Etsy as well. I actually looked on their full website. But I do encourage you to go to their full website anyway, because Owl Forest is absolutely phenomenal. They're terrific with regards to providing us with free patterns. And these are not your typical 50 by 50 small. Some of these are quite substantial, like the 100 owls. And every time I look at their free patterns area, there's more there that I want to do. So I encourage you to, you don't have to buy something in order to stitch something that's absolutely wonderful. Now, the other thing that I was going to do today for fully finished, now I don't know, we'll have to see if I can actually do this properly. When I was at my mother's just before we left, we were consistently cleaning things out and she's wanting to give away things. And she found this doily, oh, it's not going to stay up, that my grandmother, so her mom, crocheted using a 30 weight crochet cotton. So 30 weight crochet cotton is not that much thicker than the cotton that we quilt with. We often use 40 weight Orifil for our actual quilting. So she definitely has fine work, and you can see her use of a variegated crochet cotton was very effective. So I thought I would just show you that as a fully finish of a member of my family that's very dear to me. And that's the end of the fully finished area. Now for finishes, the first one is a start and finish. Every so often, well, we try once a month to have like a gnome along stitchy session because there's a number of us stitching gnomes: Katie, Laura, Karen. I feel like I missed, oh, Mary, yes. And so Mary and I were sort of texting back and forth one day, and she was talking about starting a gnome, and I went, well, let's just have a gnome along time today. And so I started a waxing moon Christmas gnome pattern, and while I was away, I finished it. So these are the Littles series. Waxing Moon Design has an Etsy shop where you can get these littles, and you make a purchase of about $14 Canadian. And you get like 5 in the same, like 5 patterns for that. And they're all about 48 by 48 and have this same border, just different colors. And I've purchased many of them, and I do think Sandy of Stitching with Sandy purchased the winter ones, and Katie's doing patriotic gnomes. So this is my Christmas gnome with bells. I'm doing this on a 32 count aqua splash or splatter, I think aqua splatter. And I use sulky so that I only have to use a 1 strand on 32. Now this is like a piece that is like this. So I started a project that I was like, I don't enjoy this. So I'm gradually picking this out. And I know that within this area here, I'll be able to stitch another one of these, and I'll get another one over there. So I should be able to get 2 more Christmas gnomes out of this splash. And those little white random dots just look like snowflakes. So I thought, that works for a Christmas stitch. So that was a start and finish. In my dreams, I had hoped for a fully finished, not to be. What else was finished? Ah, yes. Believe it or not, I finished Heron at Dawn. Look at this. And I love them. I really like the fact that this is just so muted on that area of the mauve. This is a hand dyed by Rolanda 40 count Verdal. The gray was not always easy to see when I was stitching on this color, because gray on a gray mauve is akin to stitching white on white. We all know how much fun that can be some days. And as things go, this was an intricate stitch for a pigeon coop design. But I am so glad that I just kept with it. And yes, I did use the called for colors and of course 1 strand of DMC. Now, if you look at Melanie and Mary and Laura and Connie has finished it. She was the first one done. We all did it on different kinds of material, different counts, and the effect is different each time. And I think it's absolutely wonderful that we can all be the same and different at the same time. Now, there's one more finished object, but it's not my own. As you know, my daughter is a stitcher and she likes Tiny Modernist patterns. So when I was at Stitch North, of course, I purchased a Tiny Modernist pattern, and she loves Halloween all year round. So I think this is called Pumpkin Carriage. Yes. It's only got 6 colors in it, of which, if you're doing it with 2 strands, hang on, I seem to have a thread there. There we go. If you're doing it with 2 strands, then I would have more than 1 skein of black on hand, just in case. But I just thought she did a great job of this, and she just really enjoyed it. Isn't the skeleton ever so cute? So, clearly I've got some more FFOing to do. Now, I think I have skipped something. Okay, not there. I'm putting the glasses on. This is where I say my commonly named Flosstuber friends are Lisa of Forest City Stitching, Laura of Stitching by the Shore, Mary of Mary's Stitching Corner, Kim, Contented Needleworker Kim, Amy of Renewing Stitches, Melanie and Michael of Uplift Stitches. I love that Michael is getting more and more whips going. He was like me originally, oh, I don't have too many, and now, yep, it's just going up. Katie, Jeremiah's mom, Lee of Stick Strings and Other Things, Charlie of Stitching with Charlie, and Karen D, the Twitchy Stitcher. Today I'm adding Andrew, the Runner Stitcher, because I mention him every time as well. So I often just say a first name when I'm referring to these very special people in my life, and I always have the links to their Flosstube in the description box below. I would like to do a shout out for Bethany Ruta, the bird stitcher, who has 3 videos, and of course she loves stitching mud puppy designs because of Mud Puppy's birds, as well as pigeon coop designs. She has other projects on the go as well, and like me, it doesn't have to be a bird. She loves stitching all animals. Now, her 3rd video is a very fun video where she shows you her kitted up projects. She could have some enabling going on with that. Yes, okay. And because I went out of order, I'm going to do another shout out, because that one was supposed to be before I did my finishes. Stitching Becca. Becca has 53, yes, 53 videos, and I didn't know about her until the last 2 weeks. She comes to us from Sweden. She has a fabulous collection of fancy ladies in her stitching, and in one of the videos I watched, she showed the fully finished ladies, and they were exquisite. There is a variety of project styles from smaller and whimsical to full coverage, so there's lots for everyone there. Now, works in progress. So, the first one I'm going to show you is a start. When I was at Stitch North, I was going around to tables, because that's what I do, right, Lisa? And Laureen Meyer handed me a free pattern that commemorated 2025, I think, meaning for Stitch North, as well as Canada. And I particularly like that this pattern, it embraces both of the national languages that we have. Now, what I decided to do was to adjust the pattern just a bit. Sorry, Laureen. I didn't want to have the year in because I wanted to just have this out. So I took the year off, and then I thought it didn't look centered. So I put it into PC Stitch and did some centering so that it made sense without the year there. So I've had 2 stitchy sessions on this. This is the center motif, the heart with leaves, and of course the maple leaf. Now you can see the beginning of the band over here. In here will be welcome, over here Bienvenue. I'm stitching this on 35 count Floba. Now Floba is a 70% rayon and 30% linen even weave, and it is so lovely in your hands. And it is also very easy to see where the holes are, even though it's 35 count. So I have completed 658 stitches of 1,777. Now that stitch count total, actually it takes out the year, etc. And you'll notice too, when I show the picture of the mock-up versus this, I'm doing this monochromatically. Now, for Laura's prompt, she has one stitch something with 2 identical elements, and you will see that here and then here, they're identical elements on both sides of the leaf stem. I do think that this is a wonderful pattern, and if stars aligned, I hope to have it done for the next time we're together. Okay, and my next one. Sorry to be reaching out of the camera so often. Some of these, I'm having to start to leave some of my projects in their project bags, because at the end I don't know which belongs where, and that's somewhat how I lost my project bag with the colors for my butterfly. So my next one is the Strawberry Goose Witch. And for this, I'm stitching with Mary, Laura, and Karen D. We started in late June just because Laura never thought she'd stitch a goose. This is actually by Fine Frog Stitching, a new to me designer that I can tell I will go back and grab some more patterns when I get down on patterns, which will, no, I'll probably go and get more patterns before I'm down on patterns. Let's be realistic. I'm Karen. In here, there are 22 DMC flosses, and it is a 76 by 106 pattern. There is a fair amount of solid stitching here. I have chosen to do this Oh, you can actually see the sparkle today. It's on a 40 count, no, it's on a 25 count metallic azure even weave. I'm doing 1/1 using the called for DMC floss. You can see that my goose can now honk. There's a bill in place. They can see. And the very brim of a pink witch hat is in place. So even though I've had some challenges stitching on blue, I can stitch on this one, though not at night. It's got to be like in the afternoon when the sun from my bay window is coming in at the right angle, then I can see it perfectly. Okay, so I usually just set something down, but this time I'm actually going to put it away, and that will help me. I'm not going to do all of the zipping. If I dump the pile and everything goes everywhere, I'm in duck soup for sure. Okay, so that was my strawberry goose. And my next one is a start again. So I think that ends up being 3 starts in the last little while. Last year when I went to Sobel, I had a new start every day that we were away. I wanted to keep going on some of my whips, so I capped it at 3. Now I'm going to show you a Tiny Modernist. So this is called Seasonal Bell Jars. As many of you know, I am host of Canada Swaps. So we are at Canada Swaps 3. And one of the things that I do just to be on the safe side is I try to make sure I have extra small stitched in case Canada's Post loses something, or in case somebody has a family emergency and can't finish a stitch. So the theme this time for Canada Swaps is seasons, as in summer, winter, fall, and spring. And I thought these looked straightforward enough that I might be able to get one of these done every 15 days in July and August, and thus I would be able to have September to fully finish them. By the end of September, I would hope that most people would let me know if they have not received something. And there goes the pup up the stairs. I think she realizes there's no one else here and is wondering why she's doing it. So I started on spring, and I am on a 32 count even weave. So again, I used 12 weight sulky, and the colors are close, inspired by Cheryl, the Tiny Modernist, but not precisely that. So this is how far I have gotten. And I know you're thinking, I haven't quite finished the tray. You're absolutely right. And hang on, somewhere, this is the bell jar start. So I've got some butterflies to put in, I think another white flower up there. So overall, I've done extremely well in the couple of days that I worked on this. Each of these patterns is 50 by 92. Spring has 9 colors of floss called for. Now I am using a variegated brown, which is how I got that roof to look like that. I have completed 1,297 stitches for 81.37%. So I'm really well on the way with this. Said yesterday had not been a rainy day, I would have gotten more stitching in, but I'm somebody who's affected by the weather. that down. The next piece that I'm going to chat about is Cabin in the Woods. Now this is by Flossabilities. There are 14 colors of floss in this pattern. And I have reached the area of solid stitching, so it feels like I'm suddenly going slower. And I'm trying my best to work on this guy to get him either on the way to finished or finished. I don't know, Charlie, if I can do it this month. We'll see. I didn't take this one with me. I am stitching on 20 count Aida with 1 strand of cotton. And this is what I mean by I have reached the solid spot. So this is 10 stitches down by 160 some odd across. And it is the ground, and you've got flowers that are coming up between. I do have some more stars to put in as well. And then I will decide whether at the top I'm going to put in the sort of the windy waves, or whether I'm going to do, say it's done without any of the borders. I haven't made that decision yet. So right now my Cabin in the Woods, I'm stitching this with Mary and also Sally of Flossie Sews and Grows. And Stitchy Sally was actually the one that sort of started this, because she picked it for her birthday, and then she really stuck with it, and she's finished already, so I hope you'll check her out. Now, I think she showed it a couple of videos ago, so go back into maybe the beginning of June. I think she is like me and records every 2 weeks. Now, this Flossabilities also fits in the Best for Brit Sal hashtag. So it's coming. It's just a matter of, I think what I'll end up doing is saying I need to put in like 3 strands a day or something like that, so that that solid section moves along, but I don't feel like I need to do hours and hours at once. And next I've got Boreal Bounty. Who I'm stitching these with Mary and Connie, and I keep forgetting to ask Melanie, did you do this one as well? Actually, I'm pretty sure you did. Now, the next time you see Mary's floss tube, she's going to show it to you done. I am not done, but I'm well on the way. So Boreal Bounty is by Pigeon Coop Designs. And it has 6 DMC colors and is 79 by 79. Now, I said that this has 6 colors. Karen D has started a different Pigeon Coop, one that I don't actually own, and it's got well over 20 colors. So she was kind of surprised, because I've been saying all the way along, oh, he only uses a few colors and manages so beautifully. And then, ta-da! It's just like Shannon Christine. So I check out the Twitchy Stitchers next video, because I'm sure she'll show you what's going on there. I'm stitching with 1 strand of DMC on charcoal. No, clearly this is not charcoal. I think that this is off-white. They might have called it beige, but I don't consider this beige, just maybe ecru. And I got a whole lot of 18 and 20 count Aida from my friend Linda, who I stitch with. And I just thought, oh, you know, this will work very well for this particular stitch. And at this point, we are also praying for a quick recovery from an operation on the shoulder for Linda. Well, I have completed 2,874 stitches for 71.35%. So essentially what happens here now is I do a color and I go all the way across. I just have to do a little bit more of this color and then the next color, and I'll do it all the way across. Yes, we have to do counting and pretty figurations, but you're doing a band. So this bottom part doesn't take as much time as this spot here where we were switching colors back and forth. Now it is interesting, I'm just going to hold up. So the trees here are the same colors of DMC as the trees here. And isn't it interesting the difference that being on a crew versus charcoal makes to those colors? So it's just a matter of, there are times when we are kitting things up, and as we're going, we're like, this isn't going the way I thought it would. And sometimes it's purely because we picked a different color of fabric than we have seen on either the mock-up or the picture of the finished item, and it's got a different feeling to it. So do what Kim and I do, change colors. Why not? Okay, so that was Boreal Bounty. Oh, hang on, I've got another start. So for Christmas in July, Lee and I decided that we would do the December of Year in the Woods Year 1, which is a reindeer. So I popped it into Pattern Keeper, and I popped it into PC Stitch, and then it goes into Pattern Keeper. I just want to say I am so thankful for my subscribers. You have no idea. You save me all the time. Lovely subscriber Lisa was saying that, did I realize that there was an error in this pattern? And indeed there is an errata. The antlers, one of the antlers doesn't match the other one. And so thank you for alerting me so I could alert Lee and we can both do this correctly. And the other, if I just chat about wonderful subscribers, the last time or 2 times we were together, you heard me sort of mumbling about a little glitch with an update in Pattern Keeper. And my husband bought me a new hat for at the beach, SPF, and covers the back of my neck. It's cute on him as well. So I had chatted when I was a little disconcerted and worried about maybe making the investment in Markup RXP, which I had done as a monthly trial and not enjoyed as much as Pattern Keeper. And I believe it was subscriber Sheila who said, you know, I had a pattern in Markup do exactly what you said your pattern did in Pattern Keeper, so it's not like it's perfect either. I'm like, thank you for telling me that, because I did not realize that, well, I mean, nothing is perfect, but it was really helpful to know that it wouldn't necessarily work over there just because it was Markup. So when she has those problems, she does what Kim used to do, would take a picture and puts it in iBooks and highlights that way. I think at this point, although it's frustrating, I still can use the Pattern Keeper. I just can't follow a path because each symbol is put in up to 8 times. And so, yeah, I can't follow a path, but I think I'll just keep on doing what I'm doing. Today you're not seeing Shack on the Shore because I didn't take either of my Flossability charts to the beach. But my reindeer had good progress. Look at that. So my stitchy friends online are also fabulous because I was stitching with Lee, and just before going away, I was not going to have the opportunity to go to my needle workshop, and I did not have the specialty floss that this particular piece calls for. And Lee just said, hang on, I'm gonna just show you. And she held up it was probably Weeks Dye Works, maybe. There wasn't variegation in it. Well, if there's not variegation, I might as well just use the DMC, and I did have the DMC. So that is what I've done. And Lee, I am so grateful for you doing that for me, because when you start in the center, guess what's the first color to do? That color that you told me about. So, excuse me. Yeah, still allergies. So I do have a good chunk of the specially quilty type patterned spots done in my reindeer pattern. I have completed 1,025 stitches for 18.26%. This is on a 36 count hand dyed by Rolanda. It's not the same as what I did the bear and the raccoon on. It's a little bit different. I sort of thought it looked a little bit like Northern Lights-ish, and reindeer at Christmas could be flying across the sky in the Northern Lights. Why not? Yes, so I'm really pleased with this, and I will say I was able to purchase the wolf pattern, which is for year 2, the first pattern. I have not put it into PC Stitch yet. That will take a little bit of time because I've got a few other projects I'm working on, including one Emma Congdon that I want to start with Laura. And it's the one that's about we don't inherit the earth from our ancestors. We take care of it for our children. It's a beautiful pattern, and it's actually going into PC Stitch quite smoothly, considering it's a larger pattern. So Laura, we're going to have that. My next one. Oh, you probably noticed that my subtitle for this particular video is "The Cat Came Back." And you were wondering, did Karen get a cat? No, I did not adopt an entire family like Beth the Steadfast Stitcher. She's got an adorable set of cats. But no, then I would really be sneezing. But earlier this year, I started Cat at the Window Christmas stocking. I'll put up a picture. And with the intention of stitching side by side with Sarah of Sarah's Stitchy Spot as she started Aria's stocking. And then I noticed that she wasn't holding it up at her floss tubes. So I stopped stitching on it and waited for her to say, I started, in a direct message, and then I went, okay, I'm gonna start it back up again. So I did take this one to the beach. And here we are. You can see the ears of the cat are there. This is fully, the entire stocking is full coverage. It's over 23,000 stitches. So, yeah, technically speaking, I've got 4 full coverages going right now. There we go. So I've got this in fully as well. So now I'm working on getting the cat going, where there is clearly going to be more color changes than when I'm doing the sky, although there's several colors in the sky for sure, especially at the clouds around the moon. So I forgot to check. Please consult the description box below in the description box for which Etsy shop I purchased this from. Yeah, I haven't been announcing it lately, so I have forgotten who it is. This is a full coverage stocking that is 138 by 247 in size. It's got 40 colors, so the cat really does have quite a few colors in it. So this is a Christmas in July stitch. So the plan, or the hope, let's call it a hope, was to get 100 stitches a day in, so that this month I got 3,000 stitches in. I am not keeping up with that hope right at the moment, but I do have, let me see, 5,668 stitches for 23.91%. I don't know whether this is going to be a gift for 2025 or 2026, but we don't tell people what we're gifting them ahead of time, so Elora will never know how long it took me to make it. And I'm doing that on 20 count charcoal Aida as well. When I am doing a full coverage stitch that has a lot of dark background, I stitch on something dark, so the navy blue or the black as you see in the stained glass window was I stitched on charcoal so that the black stayed really black. When I fully finish, I actually have black batting to put behind it as well, so that it doesn't affect the color of the sky. Now, if I put the black batting behind it and it affects the color of the Siamese cat wins, and it'll be white batting. Okay, mini rainbow dragon. This is an AI pattern by Artecy, and I'm stitching this piece daily in support of Andrew's marathon training. I know we're also excited for the fact that he's going to be running in Australia at the end of August. So I would say that there's a lot of Flosstubers who are stitching along to support Andrew. I'm not even going to try to start listing them because I would surely be missing somebody. His suggestion was, like, you can stitch the amount of miles/kilometers I'm doing. You can stitch the amount of minutes, make it your own. I am stitching this to try to complete this project at the same time he's completing the marathon. So I'm doing over 200 stitches a day on my rainbow dragon, and my dragon, look at the eyes. Now this eye is more complete than this eye, but he does have two eyes and the nose is going up. So I'm now going to work my way across. But I'm stitching this on a 25 count pewter even weave with one strand of DMC. Yes, the background is black, but I felt with it being 25 count, the coverage was effective enough that the black stayed black and the dark stayed dark. And I am pleased with this. So this is for Linda's grandson that I mentioned earlier with the shoulder. To date, I have completed 16,433 stitches for 62.78%. So I believe I am on track. If I'm truly on track, I will be at 75% on July 31st. So I know that some people have reservations about stitching an AI pattern, including me actually. I don't want to stitch an AI pattern that is stealing somebody else's artwork. This pattern wasn't my choice. I'm stitching what somebody else has purchased. And Artecy upfront stated that this was an AI rendition. The one thing I will say is that this pattern is quite effective. I think this dragon is looking really nice. Each of us will have to make our choices about AI, but in this case, I'm having fun. And now a little chat, which means this is going to be one of my regular longer videos. I just wanted to chat about full coverage stitching in general. I have been watching the cat hair stitchers, and I hope you'll check them out too. Two lovely friends. The way they chat is so wonderful. So the question came up is, how do I do full coverage right? And I'm sure you realize that I just had to write a response to that statement, because my take on cross stitch is you do what's right for you. Find what works for you. And while I might tell you how I am doing things, that's not telling you that that way is right. It is just saying that this is what works for me. And if you're struggling right now, try something I've said, try something Laura's said, try something other people who are doing full coverage, like the Sleepy Stitcher, are saying. And then I have to go, oh, Sleepy Stitcher. She does a lot of full coverage and has good advice. I am not consistent with how I do my full coverage. When I do my dragon, I put my hoop on. So I use a hoop that's about this big. And it doesn't matter whether it's a full coverage like that or whether I'm doing a teeny tiny ornament. I use an ornament sized hoop. And I never leave the hoop in place because cotton has memory. And our Aida cloth, our even weave, is cotton. A lot of our thread is cotton. So I'm continually taking my hoop off, even if I just sort of get up to have supper for 20 minutes. And then when I put it back on, I put it in a different place. When I'm doing my dragon, I find a place that I want to stitch on, and then my focus is on the area that is within that hoop, and I start on whatever blank stitch is lowest, and I work my way up. This is the first pattern I've done going from the bottom up. It's working for me. I have no problem with it. But by doing this, I am working each time I sit down at the confetti stitches. I know that I don't want to get to the end of that one where it's like 50% and higher confetti stitches and say I've only got confetti stitches left, because then it just gets so overwhelming. Like you could be at 92% done on one of these projects, and if you haven't done the confetti stitching, that last 8% can take as long as the first 92%. So on that one, I'm just working my way up and making sure I've got it solid each time. From the bottom, there will always be some confetti spots open, because every time you have a strand that you actually take to the end of the strand, you've created more confetti spots because it's AI. Now, when I'm doing my by the shore, I sort of go with what I feel like doing that day. Sometimes I'm in the mood to do a lot of green, which is good because I'm doing lots of trees. By the Shore by Kaplan Door, I'm just going to pop up the mock-up of it. This is a Stitches So Beautiful but charted piece by the artwork is by Kaplan Door. Sometimes I feel like doing the lake. Sometimes I want to get to a spot that's got some color going. I do put in confetti stitches every day, but I don't have it completely solid. So this is where I am. There is not as much progress this time because I do not carry this around. I will not fold this once I have started stitching a big awesome project. I put it on my quilt wall, and so it's a big piece of felt, and I just pin it in place and I leave it flat. So I have put in more of my guidelines over here using the polyester thread that I just snip as we go. I do not stitch through the thread because it can get caught there, and look, I'm using red and orange, so we don't want that mixed in. So what did I do? There is a little bit more of the lake here. There is more confetti in my tree, and last night I did 600 stitches here in the hopes that I can gradually start working this up and get to the cabin. There's a fairly substantial cabin here. That's just a small one. There's a bigger one over here. And I noticed that once I get there, there's some more block stitching, so that stitching will go faster. When I get to the last day of July, I will do my math to see how many stitches I need to do a day in order to finish this by the end of October, because I like this to take about a year. Let's see, where am I? Right now, I am at 113,278 stitches, and that is 68.66%. So what I was going to announce this time is that we're getting closer to 75%. And for those of you who were with me when I did my stained glass owl, you will remember that when I got to 75%, I stopped showing you the whole picture. And I would show you just a couple of close-ups of little areas. And in that way, I would have a reveal when the whole thing is done. And yes, indeed, that will be what will happen with this full coverage and my dragon full coverage as well. Okay, so by the shore, Laura's prompt, something with a fish. I'm sure there are fish swimming in the lake. Isn't there always? And there was also the prompt, camping, people camp by the shore, on the shore of a lake. So I'm using that for 2 of Laura's prompts. I may have missed telling you some of the other prompts. I hope not. I still have to do something sparkly. Can't remember, there's something else. Prompt something with the letter S, strawberries, and swallowtails. I might have said that, might not. Shout out for the Stitcher Baker. Now, she has one video and it was posted actually fairly recently. And yes, she is a certified baker. She took a course. I love that she wanted to be more educated as an adult. She's open to questions in that area if you have them, and I think that that's fabulous to include on her videos. Like me, she stitched when she was young and then took some years off, and she retired like 2 days before her first StitchCon experience. So she is looking forward to what retirement and traveling and stitching all ends up being for her, because she's just getting used to it now. While I don't often pinpoint future plans, I do want to comment on a few starts that are about to happen. And when you listen to this list, you go, oh, it sounds like she's thinking ahead to October and December finishes. So the Noel Sampler by Satsuma Street. I was to start it with a Twitchy Stitcher back in February. I promised to start it this week. Now, she's doing it as a full sampler, and I'm sure she'll show it on her channel. I'm doing ornaments. Surprise. Nativity Tiny Town. I got to the beach planning to start this and didn't have the floss. There we go. So I'm doing this with Sarah of Somi Sarah, who has a good start on it already, so please consult her videos. And I typically do my tiny towns on 32 count with sulky thread, so it is my own conversion. Sarah had commented that the colors suggested didn't seem quite bright and cheerful enough for Christmas, and encouraged us to think outside the box a bit. And that's perfect for me in Tiny Town because I never do what it says. Pumpkin Kitty by Luminous Fiber Arts will be started July the 23rd with a Sleepy Goblin Crafts. Snackle Lantern by Boomerang Stitches will be started July 31st with Laura. Trick or Treat. Oh, and I missed one. By right side up. Cottage Garden Sampling. I'm starting this with Katie, and she is going to be doing ornaments just like I am. Sheila and of the Sunshine Stitchers and I are talking about doing a boomerang bird sow. We just have other things to finish first. Now, you heard me just say, I missed one. Yes, I did. So, I knew there was something that wasn't quite right. In June, I started Going Coastal by Love Poppet Designs. With Flossie Sews and Grows. It's part of the Best for British Sal. And I did take this one to the beach because it's a beachy stitch. I don't know in my 6-page of notes where my percentage is on this. I do know I'm doing pretty well actually. I have some more waves here. This will be a circle. And some birds up here. I got the sun in and some more waves and almost the top part. This is the light. There's still a little bit more to go on the lighthouse. Oh, there's trees over here to do. So I'm probably about halfway done. I am on a 40 count for doll. That is again hand dyed by Berlanda. Not named that I know of. So I'm certainly glad that I looked over and saw that I had another project bag sitting there that had not been opened. And hello there. I missed two things that I feel are very important. The first thing is that the online stitching for Canada Chats is slated to be next Sunday. But this is the Midsummer Stitch weekend, so I am going to be canceling, and I will send out an email. I'm going to be canceling the Canada Chats for July and encouraging everybody to visit the International Stitching Room as part of the Midsummer Stitch, and I will see everybody there. Now, having said that, as many of you know, I do organize just stitching online together for quite often. Most weeks I have at least one, if not more, stitchy sessions. So I am going to call a generalized Let's Stitch for Tuesday the 15th. Now, that's only 48 hours away. I'm okay if we start with these sessions being just a few people. My intention is that I would cap it at 15 people so that we can have just an open mic and get to know each other. You do not have to live in Canada. You can live anywhere at all. And I will start it at 1:30 Eastern Time. What you have to do is to email me that you are interested in being part of the chat. And by doing that, I use the email to send you a link to the Google Meet so that I have full control of how many people are popping online. And let's see if we can have a wider community build. So we aren't having Canada chats on the 20th. We are having a generalized stitching together on Tuesday, the 15th at 1:30 in the afternoon. I realize that this time means that you need to be either on holidays or retired. If you are living in my time zone, it might not be convenient for everybody. But let's see. So back to the video. If everything's on a whiteboard, I don't forget it, but it gets harder to put them away. Okay, on to the moment for music. Thank you so much to everybody for your heartfelt comments after my last video. That particular rendition of it as well with Be Still is a favorite of mine, and it was very special to discover how many of you it spoke to and that some of you were singing along. My piece today is simply called Waltz, because it's a waltz. Now, it is by Viktor Kossenko. Now, Kossenko is a Soviet Ukraine composer. He was born in 1896 in St. Petersburg, which was part of what was called Russia at that point. But his family moved and he had some education in Warsaw, and then he settled in Kiev. And indeed, while he was able to do some ins and outs to Russia, he was more comfortable in Kiev when Stalin did his thing and there was wars and things. Now, Kossenko is known for being a late romanticist in his stylings with absolutely gorgeous lyrics and full use of rubato. So if you tap your foot with my playing, you will not be able to tap it steadily. It is meant to have an emotional quality about it. And it is sad that Kossenko's life was short. He died in his early 40s. He had cancer. And when composers die that young who are so effective at melody writing, it makes musicians sad for the music that couldn't be. So I hope you will enjoy Waltz. And now it's time for me to say goodbye again. I look forward to seeing you next time for my Flossversary video. I do hope that while you were watching, you had fabric and floss and needle in hand, so that as you made something beautiful, you could make yourself happy. The healing power of what we do is true. Enjoy your July. Bye-bye for now.